Marty is back. I was there for the Drua versus the Blues game, Justin, and I tell you what, I don't need to explain to anyone that playing in Lautoka is different from playing at any other Super Rugby venue. What an occasion.
Yeah, g'day, Marty. Yeah, very lucky for your ability to be in Fiji, first and foremost, working on the TAM. But
Thank you.
To see a game of Super Rugby is brilliant. Yeah, it is just a completely different beast playing in Fiji. Lautoka in particular, like Suva, is a little easier, but that environment there at Lautoka, it is pretty intimidating, and if you allow the Drua into the game, which the Hurricanes did, it can be a tough old day at the office, which proves to be the case for them.
Look, result of the round for sure, although then again, Moana Pacifica so unlucky, weren't they, against the Blues as well? Because I want to get on to Wayne Smith's comments in a second, but those two matches especially were, to me, the highlights of the round. What were they for you?
Yeah, they certainly were. I think that environment, that atmosphere, and that last gasp win for the Drua was very much the highlight. Look, Moana Pacifica, yes, they performed really, really well, probably beyond the expectations leading into the game. I think the Blues just suffered a little bit from rhythm, resting quite a few of their key players in key positions. Never really helps, and they just looked a little off on the night. Moana Pacifica took full toll of that and basically nearly snatched the game for them, which would have really been catastrophic for the Blues in terms of the ladder and where they sat. So yeah, they probably, with the skin of their teeth, escaped straight through. I don't know whether they deserve to or not, but you know, good teams win on difficult nights, and they managed to do that.
Is anyone going to stop the Chiefs, Justin? 10-0.
Oh, look, I certainly feel that every team is beatable, but a team playing with such confidence, they can get behind on the scoreboard. They can have a little bit of problems getting into the game at times and be slightly off the pace, but they do then have the ability to flick the switch. And that's often happening from some key players, whether it be someone like Brodie Retallick or Samisoni Taukei'aho making a big run, or then someone like Stevenson or Narawa or even Damien McKenzie, just igniting them. And that's the difference. Good teams can be well balanced. You look across the board, they've got good depth on the bench, but sometimes you just have a day where you're struggling to get going and you need that individual spark. And when you go across the board, particularly when you bring Anton Leonard-Brown back into the mix as well, and look at that Chiefs lineup, they've got plenty of players that can ignite a team when they're just a little flat.
I got him down here. Anton Leonard-Brown is one to talk about. I want to talk about Will Jordan as well and Wayne Smith's comments. This Crusaders versus Blues game at Eden Park, though, this weekend, is that for second and third in your mind? I know the Brumbies have got... in Christchurch. I know the Brumbies have got a jump at the moment, but are the Crusaders the second best team, even though they sit in fourth?
On form at the moment, I don't think so. But I think other teams falling away has helped them. The Hurricanes, that loss for them was not good in terms of now the pressure it puts them under to finish above the Crusaders. So, yeah, look, I think whether they deserve a spot second on the table, the Crusaders are going to be there or thereabouts anyway. I would enter into any debate to say that they're probably quite not the second best team in the competition at the moment, but the ladder tells the tale of the tape. It's a cracking game, isn't it? And, there's no doubt about the fact that both teams, lots of individuals have plenty to play for. Geez, you just look at where the All Blacks go this year, Marty, with selecting players in their specific positions. So, for example, a Will Jordan or a Damien McKenzie at fullback. Then the big match-up between Mo'onga and Barrett will be incredibly heavily watched by the All Black selectors to go, right, who's going to be our 10 for the Rugby World Cup if we are actually going to select the 15 in his actual jersey. So, yeah, there's lots of scenarios to come out of this game in Christchurch.
Justin Marshall with us, 81 Test veteran for the All Blacks, and of course the sideline calling it for Sky Sport. When the selectors select a team for the All Blacks, right now, where do they start from? Is it your number 10? Is that the guy you write down first, or do you write down your captain first? What do you think where they start?
Look, obviously leadership is incredibly important, and I get that because I played in teams with great leaders and great captains. But I think first and foremost, that leader has to command his position in the team, like any other player. You can't just go out there because you're a good leader. You need to fit the balance of the team. You need to be playing well and fit into the dynamic and the game plan that the team wants to go out and execute to enable it to play at its best. So my answer to that would be select first players on form and then pick a captain from it. So, you start by selecting your starting 15, the team as a coach that you know that you can go to into a test match, execute a game plan against that side, everybody fulfills their role and you win, and then worry about the leadership of that once you've selected that team.
Let's go through a couple of the players then. Is Will Jordan, and the way that he played, is he the All Blacks' first choice number 15? Is that one of the easier decisions that they're going to make?
No, not particularly. We know what Ian Foster's mentality is when it comes to Will Jordan. Very persistent in playing him on the wing. He believes, off the back of his comments, that he feels that he can get a fullback-like performance out of Will Jordan from the wing. And he did say that, and he said that that's where we feel that we can utilise him, and it still brings in his attributes from 15, even though we're starting him on the right wing, which I sort of did scratch my head at. But that is, you are capable of injecting a player into the game in that way if you've got the right game plan. I don't think he's a lay-down misère to start at fullback. They very much have to look at changing the picture from what it's been in the last couple of years and bring some unpredictability into the All Black attack. Because at the moment, it is too predictable. So when you bring players that are in form, like Stevenson, like Damien McKenzie, and then even Will Jordan into that back three, and then you think of the likes of Talia, Whaianganuku into the mix, you've got to get that mix of balance, of talent, of unpredictability that makes the opposition go, oh, crap. God, how are we going to defend this guy? And then they worry about him and others get space. That, in my mindset, is where they need to make decisions to put people in the right shirts.
Justin, you've been talking to me over the last few weeks, and I don't know whether you can always remember everything that we talk about, but one of the things that you're always saying is broken play, and the All Blacks have got to do things differently at this World Cup. We've got to bring our attack. We've got to actually really think outside the square, and instead of trying to beat opponents playing their game, play to our absolute strengths. Is that one of them in your mind? The fact that the danger, if you kick the ball to us and you kick it into our back three, then watch out, hell is about to unleash, because that's what I've always thought.
Yep, and that's always been a strength of All Black rugby. Bringing inaccurate or aimless kicking back and rubbing it in your face, and I think that's the mentality the All Blacks have got to take. I'm not totally convinced. Look, there are times to play good territory and play in the right parts of the field, but that's often what you hear coming out of every camp. It's like, we've got to play in the right areas of the field. We're just playing a little bit too much in our own half. We're not kicking accurately enough because we're not getting the right distance on our kicks, and it's putting us under pressure. You can put a team under pressure from all parts of the field. You mentioned Wayne Smith, mate, and we're going to chat about him in a minute. Yep. But he was the first coach that I came across, alongside Robbie Deans, who said the most vulnerable a team is to be attacked is from inside your own 22. Because if he starts thinking basically set back for a kick, wingers sort of hesitate and drop back, fullbacks quite deep, and all of a sudden you've got 7 backs running at probably 5 or 4 defenders because they're in a negative mindset. You've just got to have the courage to play from that zone, because it's very easy just to kick the ball away and let them dictate terms. I think the All Blacks have gone a long way away from that. I've said this before. Yep. I'll bang the drum again. That's what they did to South Africa at Ellis Park, and they literally run them off their feet because they are prepared to attack from all parts of the field. Then they went to Christchurch a week later and kicked the shit out of the ball. And all of a sudden became a real negative side.
We were terrible at that.
Pulled their pants down at Christchurch.
Well, all they had to do was tackle us. All they had to do was tackle us that day, wasn't it? It was one-on-one tackles, and every player from every international team is good enough to stop you one-on-one, mostly, right?
Yep. So that's the mentality I would like to see them take, not only into the World Cup, because it's not only about World Cups, it's about Bledisloe as well. It's about Rugby Championship. Just take it into this year and play.
Okay. All right, one quick one before we get to Wayne Smith's comments. Anton Lienert-Brown is back, so how does that affect the All Black midfield plans? Where do you place him? If he stays injury-free, obviously.
Well, it's great for the All Black midfield plans because it brings that different type of player into the mix, which they need. And now they've just got to think about how they marry that balance together. Like if you're playing someone like Bodie Barrett, who will play, Geordie Barrett, who will play real direct as a 12, big and strong, confrontational, carries hard, runs good lines, then you need a real sort of hips type player with a great pass, has vision, gives himself time at centre. If you flip it around, then you have a hard running centre, then you need that hands and that suppleness and that vision at 12. So yeah, it's all about bringing right players into the mix that complement the other players. See a great centre part. Let's go back to our last centre partnership. That was basically unstoppable.
Yeah.
And it was a lay down guarantee that start each week. Nonu brought the power, and he brought the sidestep, and he brought the robustness. Conrad Smith brought the intelligence. He saw the space. He had a great passing game because he complemented what the 12 was doing. That's where we need to get to in the centres. So bringing Anton Leonard-Brown into the mix, he brings those skills, slightly different than Havili, different than Jordan, Geordie Barrett, I should say. And yeah, it's a really good, and he's completely different to Rieko Ioane in the way he plays. So it's good for the All Blacks. It's just about coming up with that combo and finding that combo when they start playing test matches, not at the World Cup. Get that combo out there. The team that's going to start World Cup against France come September the 8th, Friday night in Paris, has to have played at least 3 games together before they hit that game consistently, and partnerships are formed. They know each other, and that's the side that's going to take us through the World Cup. That's what I feel we need to get to.
Justin Marshall's with us. I just wrote down, I can't wait till you see Martin next time and you explain to him that he's not as intelligent as Conrad.
He's got the ability to eat it from live or no?
No. I just want to play you this Wade Smith quote before we go. It's about 40 seconds. Have a listen. And this was Smithy talking on the All Blacks podcast. And let's again reiterate, people, that Wayne Smith isn't going out there to slag nothing. He's just being honest when asked questions here.
Man, I'm getting frustrated with the game, not the players. I'm frustrated with the game. I watched the game that Nick Berry refereed the other day.
Yeah.
The arm's out the whole time.
Yeah.
Every single play there's an advantage. We're going to go 7, 8 phases. If it goes no, we're going to come back. It's going to be a penalty. You're 30 seconds to kick the ball into touch, 40 seconds for the line out to happen. There's going to be a drive. That's going to collapse. There's going to be a harm come out. It's going to come back to another penalty. I turned off for the first time in my life at half time, and I went to watch. I actually put on a program on the lions in Serengeti. I watched an animal documentary. I was so frustrated with it.
Justin, I feel like he was echoing comments that you've made. I mean, you feel the same thing, don't you? About and that referee in particular is officious, and he loves his whistle and loves the rule book. But you know, Smithy's right. I mean, you know, you get bogged down. So many of these games just get bogged down.
Yeah, they do. Look, I think that it's about getting the balance right, isn't it? Between, you know, giving a team an opportunity to play. What he's basically saying is, you know, referees that allow the advantage to go and go and go, and then want to bring it back to a negative, which is 8 phases later come back to a penalty. It's like, you know what, the game's moved on, and in fact, everyone else has as well, because 2 to 3 minutes have gone by. But you come all the way back to something that happened 2 minutes ago, 8 phases ago, and go, righto, we're going to reset the game here. And everyone's just like, oh, my God, you know, the game's already moved on. So I understand the frustration, and it's a part of the game that everybody's trying to fix, but everybody's got to buy into it. You know, the referees have got to buy into it. We're all about keeping the ball in play more, but keeping the ball more in play is doing it in a proactive way, not a negative way, by playing big, long advantages and creating more stoppages. What we want to take out of the game, like he was alluding to, is 30 seconds in to kick it out, another 30 seconds for a scrum or line out the set, blah, 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 is we want to make sure that if it's moving with the ball in play and not continually going back to source. And I feel if we can get that balance right, we're going a long way to seeing better rugby.
Always a pleasure, mate. Love talking to you, mate. We'll talk again next week. Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Des. Always a pleasure as well. Cheers.